We're Maple and Roots. I'm Bethany, and the guy with the beard, that's Jason. And these are the kids. We have the girls, Adeline and Lila, our buddy Asher, Mighty Micah, the baby, Zion Augustine, and Lexi, who's killing it away at college. We are passionate about home education. We've definitely been hit by the travel bug. Mostly, we love Jesus and we love people. We're converting this travel trailer into our tiny house. And while it's unconventional, we are intentionally following Jesus and where he's guiding our family. We are so excited that you've stopped in. Welcome to our adventure. Welcome to Maple and Roots. What is up, you guys? Welcome back to Maple and Roots. And it has been a long time since I've sat down and talked homeschooling. You guys know, if you follow my channel, we just moved into a tiny house and renovated the whole entire thing, which I have videos, tours coming up very soon. We have some work that, hey, my face is itchy, that we have to finish up first before we can do like an official tour, but I have things coming up in a little bit. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you can kind of get sneak peeks. And of course, my background can also give you a sneak peek. It looks cute, and then I move my head and you have a not so cute light because we haven't put in our new lights there yet. But anyway, thank you for stopping in and welcome back. If you don't know me, my name is Bethany. I am a homeschool mom of 6. I have 1 in college, and then the rest go from 11 all the way down to almost 2. I have been homeschooling for many years, and homeschooling is basically one of my biggest passions. I love talking about home education. I think it is incredible. I love having the opportunity to teach my children. I think it's a huge gift. So first I'm going to give you a little bit of update on what we've been doing for school in the past month and a half. And then I'm going to talk to you today about what we're doing for Thanksgiving this year and how we celebrate and how we teach and kind of what we include into that. So yeah, without further ado, let's get to today's video. I do want to add, you guys know that we did just move into a tiny house, and therefore, as if I didn't have enough interruptions from children before, we are guaranteed to have interruptions now. Like where I'm sitting on my bed, I can look right there, like 5 feet away from me is our front door. And so I've got children outside, I've got children in here doing schoolwork, and so it is busy here. And that's okay. We like it that way. We're super excited about it and we love it. So let's talk about the past month and a half. You guys know that we moved into this and we renovated the entire thing. There's not one part of this place that we have not touched, except for I need to do my bathroom. But aside from that, it's a whole nother story and a whole very long story about a toilet. But I'm going to get into that in another video because this is not the place or the time. So for the last month and a half, after we bought the RV and started in the work in it, I knew back in August that we were going to be moving at some point this year. I knew that we were going to be leaving our home, and I knew that we were likely going to be doing this project. And so with that, I kind of started our school year earlier this year, planning to take off time in this fall. And also planning to go longer into the summer next year because, you know, we always end up taking a little bit of time off in February and the holidays and all of those things. So I was very intentional this year with how I did our schedule. Now, because there's still not, because I am me, hold on, someone's coming in. It's very loud. Because I am me. Who's at the door? We also have children who can't open the door, so this happens. Who's at the door? Hey, can one of you girls grab the door? Thank you. Can you hear them? It's like a mob mentality of children. I don't even know. Sammy, no. That dog, no. With that, I basically knew that our year was going to look a little bit different this fall. And that's the beauty of homeschooling, is you can make your own schedule for what works for your family. You can do school at 7 o'clock at night if that works for your family. You can do it you can change around your schedule. You don't have to follow the traditional school schedule. And I am incredibly grateful for that, because I know that if we were following a regular schedule, it would have been really difficult to keep up with everything. So what I did for this time period is we basically kind of scaled back on things. So we weren't doing a lot of the extras. My kids were basically doing their reading, writing, and math. And with that, it's kind of like the bare bones skeleton. What is that? Skeleton. And they're still learning, they're still doing reading, they're still doing writing, they're still doing math, but we're just not adding in things like science and history for that time. Now, one of the best parts about it is that when you give children the freedom a little bit, and then you don't have all of those things planned, it's not like learning stops. And that's what I love about this free homeschool year, is that we really have been able to embrace a lot more unschooling into our regular schooling. So my children during this time, because they had a lot more free time, because, we were busy repairing a floor or a wall or putting down flooring, things like that, because we were busy doing those things mostly during the day, my children were really able to freely kind of look through, or they were really able to research things that they wanted to learn during this time. And one of the best parts about it is that where we are currently parked is that there is so much outside space, and they have friends here, and so they've been able to just be outside, and they've built forts, learning different pieces of architecture and building with everything that they found outside, and to just learning different things. So even things like typing, so the girls have wanted to be on the computer because we don't have like a lot of electronics here. And so in the evening, we'll let them go on the computer for a little while, and they're doing things like typing programs, which they've never done before, but they have just said, hey, I want to learn how to type. And so they'll sitting down and learning how to type. And I love that. I love that child-led learning. I love embracing that. And so now that we're moved now that we're moved in, we're able to focus a lot more on our regular schoolwork and kind of our regular school day, while trying to include some of those unschooling things. And it has just been wonderful. And I don't feel like, oh my goodness, we have all this work we have to catch up on or anything, because I had planned for this. And that's kind of the beauty of planning. And I feel like now, at my age, in my 30s, I'm finally getting it. Angela, if you're watching, I'm finally getting it. So that's kind of what we have done for the past month and a half. It has been wonderful. I have no guilt. One of the things about being a homeschool mom is that, like, if you miss a day or you have an off week, or if you get behind, there is sometimes so much guilt associated with that. And I just am embracing this time, and I'm refusing to feel guilty about it. So that's that. Now let's move on to our the next few months, Thanksgiving, and then of course Christmas. I'm going to do a separate video about Christmas, but let's talk about Thanksgiving. Now, there's a lot of companies that are releasing Thanksgiving units. I know Campfire Curriculums has one out. They're awesome. I'll link them below. I really like Campfire Curriculums. I have not looked at their Thanksgiving unit, so I don't feel really comfortable being like, yeah, go out and buy it, because I haven't looked at it myself. But I know a lot of curriculums right now are coming out with unit-based studies. That's kind of all the rage right now. There's a lot of it. And I know that there's other companies out there that have Thanksgiving curriculums. I know that there's videos out there of people talking about putting together your own Thanksgiving curriculum, unit study. I know there's morning baskets that talk about it and all of that. So I thought I would come on and share about what we're doing for Thanksgiving this year, or how we've done it, and what it is going to look like. I know this is going to be like a really big shock to you all, but I haven't put a whole lot of planning into it. I know, I'm so shocked. And the reason is, I don't know. I don't really have a reason, except for life has been absolutely insane. But even if it wasn't insane, I probably still wouldn't put a lot of planning into it, because it's just how I do things. We have a lot of Thanksgiving books. And when I was picking out our books to bring with us in the tiny house instead of going into storage, I was purposeful in grabbing our, any books on Christmas or Thanksgiving, any holiday books like that, voting, government, all that stuff. We did a whole thing this hair, man. We did a whole thing with that. So I was purposeful in bringing those here with us. And I am so thankful, because I have this giant, I don't even know what it's called, armoire or hutch thing that kept some of our books before in it, and I was able to bring it with me. It is now partially my bedroom wall. Yeah, that's a thing. And so I was able to bring it with us. So I was able to pick out those books and bring them with me. And so I will put them out, in the next week or so, or not the week. Next week is Thanksgiving. I'll put them out today. I'm definitely going to do that today. And we'll definitely make sure that we read those. I find when I pull books out and I kind of set them out like on a coffee table or in a basket, then we're a lot more likely to read them than versus if they're inside the bookshelf, then we forget about them. So I'll be like, oh my gosh, I have this book. It's wonderful. And now it's June. So anyway, we'll definitely do that. And we'll read those books. They're just simple Thanksgiving Day books. I've got like little ones. And then we're going to take a lot of text from H.E. Marshall's This Country of Ours. This Story of Ours is kind of our main history curriculum spine. It's not fully, I pull from a lot of other things, Story of the World, Child's History of the World, websites, videos, blah, 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 my father. And so that's kind of going to be our text because they go into really detailed about the Pilgrims and all of that. But there were some things that I wanted to discuss because there's always, of course, in anything in life, but in homeschooling or in Christianity or in the world we live in today, there's always controversy surrounding things. There's controversy about Thanksgiving, which I don't play into because I don't know. I'm a traditionalist. I love Thanksgiving. My family loves Thanksgiving. It's always been a big deal in my family growing up and a big deal in our family now. And partially is because I'm a descendant of the Mayflower. And so that kind of, it's always been a little bit special to our family because we can trace our family line back to the Mayflower, and that's pretty exciting. And so I wanted to bring up because there's always these extremist sides of things. There's like the Pilgrims came and they took this land and it was horrible and they treated the native people horrible and there was all these things. Or there's the other side, which is like these like very like Christian centric, which like this amazing, like they came and they were like, saints and all of that. And when I teach history, I'm just stop myself. When I teach history, I really try to present it as these were all real people. And when we start putting into perspective of real people, like what you would meet outside right now, it kind of changes things, right? So the indigenous people who were here, they were real people with real feelings. And there was a lot of political things going on even before the Pilgrims came that the indigenous people here had already had, they had already met Europeans. There was already things going on. There was things like taking indigenous people and trying to sell them as slaves, things such as that. Or there was already sicknesses and stuff there. So part of it when the Pilgrims came, there was particular tribes that were like, hey, we want to like partner with you. We know that, or not partner, we want allies. And then there's other tribes that were like, no. And there's like a whole, obviously there's a whole history that goes on with it, but there was a lot of political moves with it, but there was a lot of humanity as well. I don't think the Pilgrims were bad or were, had intention of coming and taking land. I think that they were refugees looking for a home, and were mistakes made, were things gone about right? Sure. Because like anything in history, right? Like anything in history. Okay. And so when I present it to my children, I like try to present it as someone's at the door. These are humans, and this is what they were feeling, and this is what they dealt with, and this was the hardships, and these were the consequences of all the things that happened. And then on the other side, right, it's like this other side, they were human, and it's not just this black and white thing, and it's complex, and there's feelings involved, and there's personality involved, and there's politics involved. And so that's basically how I teach it. So that's like a really long rant. My children are here, so I told you, this tiny house thing. And I'm just going to keep going because I am. So that's kind of how I present it to my children. I try to be as accurate with history as possible, and you can get a very, what you would think would be accurate history point from, say, one website, and then you can get what you think would be a very accurate history point from another website. You really have to sift and sometimes fill in the gaps, which is what historians do. So that's kind of how we do history. That's kind of how we're doing Thanksgiving. Now, to move on from the historical, I do want to say, I know that there's a lot of sometimes controversy with how Thanksgiving became a holiday and all of that. That's not anything I am touching right now. As I was saying before, for me, I'm not going to touch that controversy right now, or the history necessarily of the holiday, not for this year, because really I just don't want to put the time to research it right now for myself. So next year, sure, but this year, not so much. Now, let's change direction a little bit when we're talking about Thanksgiving, because for me, as a believer in Christ, I love this holiday because not only does it help the country to focus on being thankful, but also particularly Christians. And, 2020 has been a year. 2020 has been a year for many, many, many people. Now, for me, for my family, and people are probably going to be really upset for me for saying this, but my family has been like incredibly blessed this year. Like, it has been a year of change. It has been a year of trial. It has been definitely for us and for everyone. And there's been just things in our life. But for us, this has been a year that we have just seen God's hand upon our lives, and that we just feel so completely blessed. It wouldn't be a video if I wasn't nursing. And we want to communicate that with our children. We really want to share that with our children, as we do every year. So at Thanksgiving, we really try. Are you talking too? We really try to focus our children on that, and not just thankfulness for material things, but thankfulness to God because of what He has given us, and that's the gift of His Son and the gift of salvation. And that's kind of what it's all about for our family and how we choose to do it. We're really excited to just do some of our family traditions that we love, and be able to celebrate with people that we love, and be able to just talk about Christ and what He has done for us, for our lives, for salvation, and particularly for us for this year, for 2020. And so I would encourage you, if this year has been a hard year for you, there's something that happens when we start, instead of focusing on like, oh, it's such a hard year, oh, 2020 is so bad, oh, 2020, like, no, God knew this year. God designed this year. God is sovereign. And so with that, like, what blessings has God given us? And when we start shifting our focus from, oh, woe is me, 2020, it's the worst, right? All the toilet paper is gone. And we start shifting our focus, and we start to thankfulness to God, and we turn it into praise and praising Him. It's life-changing. It is changing it. It can change your entire perspective on 2020. Now, I want to be sensitive because I know people have lost people. I know jobs have been lost. I know that all of that has happened, and I hear you, and I hear you. But still, God is sovereign and God is good. And so we want to teach that to our children, and we want to show that to our children. There's many different ways that you can do that. Some people do thankfulness jars. I love those things, or little Pinteresty things. You'll know I'm not crafty. And so we don't do that stuff. But we do talk about thankfulness. We do a family devotional every morning. It's just something that we really love to do with our children. It's kind of like, even if we don't do school, we do a family devotional. It is first and foremost important to us. And so my son is trying to expose me and knock down the light at the same time. And so we really try to focus on, our children are God. So we take time to really read scriptures. We're reading Matthew right now with our kids. We're in Isaiah. We read some Numbers this morning. And so we're really pointing our children to Christ through that and looking at His life. And then we're actually, I don't know why I didn't really plan for this year, but one of my favorite things to do with my children is church history. I love history, but oh my goodness, I think I particularly love church history. I love reading about those who have gone before us. I love reading about how the church has expanded and grown. I love reading about I love biographies. I love reading about people's lives and how God took them and their stories and how they met Jesus and then what they did with their lives. And it's just fascinating. I just watched a documentary on Amazon. I'll link below if I remember to do so, about George Mueller. Amazing. Like, and so like George Mueller's life is like super, super convicting. And right now we're reading about, okay, I say Adoniram, but we were watching the Torchlighters and I saw that they called him Adoniram, which doesn't make any sense to me. So I continue to call him Adoniram. I'm probably saying it completely wrong. But we've been reading about Adoniram Judson, which is credited to being, you know, the first missionary from America being sent out to a foreign country. We have been really enjoying just reading about that, and we always do every year. We've done Hero Tales. We've done a book, one of my favorite books ever is called Tales from Persia. My husband and I love the book Insanity of God. You know, we love reading people's testimonies about what God is doing, and I would encourage you this Thanksgiving to do that also, because, and anytime, really, it doesn't have to be Thanksgiving, but it's a really, really good thing to do. Okay, so what does Thanksgiving mean to you?
Well, it's about like the time when we're giving thanks to God for what He has given us,
Yeah.
and what He has done.
What's your favorite part of Thanksgiving?
I like your pie.
I do make a really good pie.
She makes a really good one.
Adeline's here. She doesn't want to be in camera. What's your favorite part?
Turkey.
Turkey. Yeah.
That's good.
Turkey's good. Aside from food, what's your favorite part of Thanksgiving? Food. Okay.
Giving thanks to God.
Oh, that's a good part. I like the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Yes.
It's like one of my favorites. All right, guys, I'm going to close this out. Thank you so much for tuning in to this special, or back to me talking about homeschooling. Thank you for dealing with all the noise. And I would love for you to subscribe if you're here and you haven't subscribed. Do so now. And if you don't want to, well, then you're kind of a turd. I apologize for saying that, kind of. And then, yeah, so subscribe, hit that thumbs up, and ring the bell for notifications of all of our future uploads. And, yeah, so we'll see you later. Bye.
Peace. Bye.